The Alliance Saga, Book 1, Shifting Roots. Chapter 1, A Warning on the Wind. Be as sturdy as an ancient oak, as wild as an open field, as adaptable as a flowing river, and as guarded as the deepest marshes. Alliance Lake Proverb. Summer announced its arrival with a gentle breath of dry air. The abundant season of warmth was on its way to Alliance Lake, the green moon finally full on the horizon. When it reached its zenith in the sky that night, the moonlight meeting would bring all the colonies together upon Moonlight Island to celebrate days of easy hunting and lazy nights spent under the stars. The warm season was especially welcome in the shady forests of Oak Colony, where cats climbed trees and scaled cliffs as easily as they put one paw in front of the other on the ground. Dawn Frost was not given to such things as omens or signs. She left that business to Thornheart. But even she would admit to being in brighter spirits than usual. Ever the early riser, spring often meant returning from her duties with dew soaking her paws. Now the leaf litter beneath her feet was crisp and dry as she led her group along the highlands of Oak Colony's territory. The sunlight touched the scrub oak terrace before it reached the more densely wooded areas in the lowlands, and Dawn Frost could already hear the chorus of songbirds rising from their nests to greet the morning. Joining her were Thornheart, her humble and trusted friend, Lark and Aspen, the new claws they had trained together over the last several months, and Tornleg, the mentor who would oversee the final task the new claws were to complete in order to earn their full names and ranks as Rangers of the Oaklands. The ritual had not changed since Dawnfrost time, nor since Tornlegs, nor Captain Elmtails. It was a tradition that spanned memory all the way back to the first cats who had made the Oaklands their home, who may be watching over them now, if one were given to such superstition. Their pace slowed as they made their way up the cliff, careful not to give away their presence. Once they found feathers at their paws and the tantalizing smell of a flying feast in their noses, Dawnfrost signaled for the company to stop. She and Thornheart found dry places to sit and watch while Tornleg explained the challenge to Lark and Aspen. You may work together with your fellow Newclaw to achieve your goal. In fact, teamwork is encouraged, Tornleg began. You must bring back the following: a crow black as night, a warbler gold as day, a jay blue as the sky, a sparrow brown as the earth. You have until noon. Once the task begins, you are forbidden from speaking to any ranger until it is done. Do you have any questions? Lark's tail flicked up, and Tornleg nodded to give him permission to speak. Do we have to stay on the terrace, or can we range further into the Oaklands? Yes, you may leave the area, though all the species you need to hunt can be found here. Lark gave a quick glance over to Dawnfrost, who blinked her eyes slowly in a show of approval to her new claw. Of the two of them, Lark was the thinker who asked questions, and Aspen was the motivator who took action. Before they'd even begun, Lark was already calculating where in the territory it would be easiest to find each kind of bird. If there are no more questions, you may begin. Bring your collection to me when you are ready to stop, Tornleg said. At once, Lark and Aspen discussed their strategy, just loud enough to impress the rangers, without being mistaken for asking advice. Sparrows and jays are plentiful right here. We'll get those out of the way first, then split up to get the others, Aspen said. I'll head to Copper Rock for the crow. My fur will blend into the shore better than yours, Lark said. You get the warbler from the lowlands. The closer to the marsh colony border, the better. Those ones are sure to be gold as day. The sibling team butted their heads together, then slunk away into the bushes to track down the sparrow and the jay. Once they were out of earshot, Thornheart let out a purr. Remarkable. I think we came up with that exact plan of action when it was our turn. Only you had to show off by getting every kind of bird on your own, too. Dawnfrost curled her tail neatly around her paws and responded with only a smile. It was no secret that she'd had her sights set on leadership from her first steps out of the nursery. The faster she was made an envoy, the faster she would achieve her goals, and that meant standing out early and often. The call of a crane pulled her from her proud thoughts. She pricked up her ears, making sure she'd heard correctly. They were a long way from any free-flowing sources of water where cranes might gather. The high-pitched clattering sounded again, grabbing Thornhart's attention as well. He started to rise with an uneasy look on his face, but Dawnfrost beat him to the point. If that bird is so desperate to be caught, I think I'll try my luck at it. I want to do my part for the celebration, after all. If you're sure. Though still bemused at her reaction, Thornhart sat down again. Try to catch a finch for me, would you? Thornlegs said, then flopped inelegantly onto a sunny patch of ground. Dawnfrost waved her tail in acknowledgement and headed down the terrace toward Lilac Scarp. The delicate purple flowers interwoven with the dense blackberry thicket were sure to block out the smell of anything, or rather anyone, caught on the wrong side of Alliance Lake. Not the most subtle sign, she remarked to the pale tabby Tom who greeted her there. His yellow eyes flashed with affection at her gentle scolding, and he responded in his usual laid-back tone as he stepped out of the thorn vines. "Hello, Dawnfrost. It's been a while." Wolfthorn. Despite her curt greeting, Dawnfrost could not deny herself the small pleasure of touching her nose to his once he was close enough. "You smell of river colony. I suppose that means you didn't find a suitable place outside our borders for us to live." "I did. Several, actually. Alone and with other colonies." Wolfthorn lowered his voice. "We could leave tonight if you wanted." Dawnfrost should have hissed in disgust, but Wolfthorn's presence always made her reconsider what it was she wanted most. One path led her to greatness as Oak Colony's captain, respected and admired by her fellow rangers. The other led her not to greatness, but happiness as Wolfthorn's mate, free to pursue whatever kind of life they wished beyond colony borders. She knew it was foolish. Only a kitten lovesick for romances from elder stories would consider it. But she had been young once, and Wolfthorn had captured her heart from the moment she'd met him at her first moonlight meeting. Though she had dreamed of leading a colony even then, she had allowed her mind to wander beyond Alliance Lake. There were other colonies out there. Who was to say that she and Wolfthorn couldn't lead one of them, or create one with their own rules and beliefs? In Oak Colony, she would be a part of a long history of leaders. In the lands beyond their borders, she could become a legend all her own. Dawnfrost took a breath to prepare herself for her answer. She was not a Newclaw anymore, and in the years since she had last seen Wolfthorn, her life had changed. It would soon change again. "Brackenfoot is sick." "I'm sorry." Wolfthorn lowered his head. "But you didn't say that because you're worried about your father, did you?" "No." Dawnfrost pressed her ears forward, determined. "Why do we have to leave the territory to be together? You could join Oak Colony. Captain Elmtail would welcome you once you completed the Sundown Challenge." "No." Wolfthorn's sharp hiss made Dawnfrost draw her ears back. He licked her cheek in apology. "We won't be safe here." "You said that before, but you never told me what we wouldn't be safe from," Dawnfrost countered. "I'm an envoy, Wolfthorn, an elite ranger. I'm strong. My colony is strong. What is it that you're afraid of?" Rather than answer, Wolfthorn rubbed his muzzle along Dawnfrost's neck and shoulder before turning back to the undergrowth. "I respect your choice, Dawnfrost. If you ever change your mind, I'll be ready." He glanced back one last time over his shoulder. "Please, stay safe." "Wait!" The moment Wolfthorn slipped into the shadows of the blackberry bush, his presence vanished from the forest, and Dawnfrost knew she was alone. She raised her nose to the wind to try to catch a lingering hint of Wolfthorn's scent, and found something far fouler in the air. She turned her head toward it and opened her mouth to inhale deeper, despite her nose wrinkling in disgust. Something musky and faintly rotten was drifting on the wind from Marsh Colony. Thank you for listening all the way to the end. I hope you enjoyed this preview of Alliance Saga Book 1, Shifting Roots. If you're interested in me making more videos like this, please leave a comment letting me know, and if you would consider it, possibly check out my Patreon or Ko-fi to support me. It's a dream of mine to make full audio adaptations for all of my books and post them for free here on YouTube or other streaming services. But unfortunately, I cannot do that right now with my current funding. I would really love to hire some voice actors to bring these characters to life fully. So if that is something that you think sounds as awesome as I believe it will be, please, please, please check out those links in the description or subscribe to the channel. Anything you do will definitely help see this become a reality. Thank you again, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching, and a special thank you to my patrons. If you'd like to see your name here or in the description below, please consider joining my Patreon. Your support means so much to me and allows me to continue making content. If you want to support my content in different ways, consider buying my books, donating on Ko-fi, subscribing to the channel, or even just giving this video a like and comment. Any and everything is appreciated so much. Keep growing till next time, Rose Garden!